Hello, my name is Kerim Akgönül. I am the Chief Product Officer at Pegasystems, and I've been at Pega for about 33 years at this point. So there are a tremendous amount of challenges that are facing the organizations at this point. Obviously, AI is an incredibly revolutionary technology, and we all know that it's going to change everything. But there's a tremendous amount of confusion, concern, a lack of understanding, and so much excitement to leverage AI as fast as possible. And organizations are essentially in an arms race trying to figure out not only how to leverage AI, but to actually make AI be able to make a positive impact in optimizing their business, their operations, and customer engagement. So there's enthusiasm, there's excitement, there's research, there's initiative. Exact results are not quite there yet, but I believe a lot of the organizations will figure this out and will leverage it and will shift the industry. So we think prompt-based agents are quite dangerous, especially in regulated industries, where it is critical that a company will process the request or process work for customers in a consistent and predictive way. And our vision is very much around having AI agents be used in designing and developing and constructing solutions, and then to be able to have a predictive AI approach to understand within the constructs of the workflows, to be able to define how we're going to get the work done, do it much more efficiently, and only use AI for very specific, particular use cases to optimize the workflows. So especially in the banking industry, spaces like onboarding and KYC, or even just direct engagement with customer service, is really ripe with opportunities to leverage AI to be able to collect the data, to be able to deliver much faster service directly to their customers, and to take a lot of manual steps out of the process. But that doesn't mean that we're looking for individuals that work for these banks that are onboarding customers are going to be writing prompts that they send to AI agents. We'll go back to the predictable, well-defined workflows that meet regulatory requirements, and then put in sections within those processes that leverage AI to eliminate manual steps in those processes and really automate the outcomes. So the challenges for the Turkish enterprises are very similar to the challenges of the other enterprises, and like I said before, there is a bit of confusion around how to use agentic processing in this era. We believe that the agentic processing is best leveraged during the definition of the journey for legacy transformation. A lot of organizations, a lot of big enterprises have hundreds and hundreds of older applications that are still in use. And with the revolution of AI, everybody knows that they need to modernize these applications so they can take advantage of AI. So in order to do that, you have to actually look and understand what an older version of an application does and transform it into a modern digital platform like Pega. And we basically have a solution called Pega Blueprint. That Pega Blueprint uses agentic AI to interrogate what is actually happening in a old legacy application and convert it and translate that to a model AI-driven digital version to dramatically expedite that journey. So we're actually going to be talking a lot about Pega Blueprint as the core strategy of Pegasystems. The transparency of the decisions are quite critical in regulated industries because the regulators look for a clear documentation and depiction of how a business made a decision on behalf of the customer. One thing we've seen, if everybody that has used with AI, you can ask the same question and you'll get different answers. And that's interesting when you're trying to write a song, but when you try to actually determine risk for a specific customer or determine whether you're going to onboard a customer or not, well, you don't want different answers each time you execute. You want the consistent outcomes, and you're going to be able to document why did you deny this loan for this customer, for example. And just using prompt-based AI agents is going to be extremely problematic because one, the responses are going to be inconsistent, there will be hallucinations, and there'll be no record of why different decisions were made. So I think the trick is to be able to decide how we want to run the business, how we want to make our decisions, what are the decisions that the organization is making in order to define how they're going to deal with their customers and work with their customers and provide services, and then use AI to really optimize it rather than tell AI to figure it out and do the work at runtime. And we're seeing this around the globe in the enterprises, being able to define the boundaries and the scope of work versus AI-based prompts. So Pega makes sure that the AI agents are remain accountable and auditable by actually defining a construct around the workflow definition that we define as a case type. So a case type essentially represents what is this organization going to do for this customer. You know, it could be somebody's disputing a charge, or somebody wants to apply for a credit card, or somebody needs a loan, somebody wants to make changes to their account, their policy, whatever it is that an organization is going to do. And around that construct, we define the data elements, the documents, the approvals, the company policies, the integration points, all the different elements, all the correspondence back and forth with the customer, all those different attributes of getting that work done is defined within that construct of the case type. And then we use the AI elements within that life cycle in a very deterministic way to get to the results and be able to keep track of and audit of every step that was basically leveraging AI and how the decisions played out in that workflow. So the predictable AI and generative AI are quite different, and we've been in the predictable AI business for almost 20 years. Actually, our partners at Kura operate with a lot of our Pega customers here in Turkey in using our predictable AI capabilities in the space of one-to-one customer engagement, and it's been one of the most successful implementations that we see throughout the globe has been through the use of that one-to-one customer engagement with predictable AI within the telecommunications and banking industry in Turkey. And predictable AI essentially, you know, has been around for a long time. It uses statistical analysis and statistical models to determine propensity calculations of what is the right way to interact with a customer. What is the right message, the right offer, right interaction. And that uses large sets of customer-based data to be able to make these predictions, to be able to figure out, well, this is the right offer for this customer at this moment in time while they're on their mobile app, for example. And it's very scientific from the perspective of calculating those outcomes. Now, of course, generative AI tends to be much more creative and much more verbal, if you will, much more around, based on around the words. And predictable AI has made a big impact in making predictions about customer behavior, and generative AI will be able to make a lot of impact in processing their requests, in getting the work done for those customers. So it is quite critical to be able to have that balance between the whole human oversight and AI-based automation capabilities. If the automation components are fully deterministic, as in I'm going to call this API, or I'm going to call this function, and given the inputs is always going to respond to me with the right definition, you really don't need human oversight in it. That's just automation. That will just do the same thing every time. Whether you're making a decision, you're making a calculation, whether you're calling another API to be able to pull data from it. When you basically are using AI-based decisioning that are much more subjective, and that is much more, again, the way we use generative AI-based to be able to see the results and make recommendations to the user. And that basically is where the human intervention comes in. For example, one of the solutions one of the Gen AI solutions that we have is called Coach. And the way that it works is, if I'm in the middle of doing something for the company, for the customer, I'm trying to, let's say we talked about onboarding before. I'm trying to onboard this business. It's an international business. It has products in different countries and different accounts. And if I need to figure out what are the right steps I need to take in order to determine the best way to process, the coach within that application can give me guidance on what is the best way to continue the operation within the context of that business that I'm trying to onboard. So which basically makes AI be an assistant to the human to make them much more productive. So instead of having to call my manager and ask for help, I can just sort of ask the AI assistant that will both help me and educate me to be able to get my work done. So what is next for Pega is going to be a lot around Pega Blueprint. We basically have a blueprint solution that allows organizations to establish a vision for what their future could look like before they actually construct and develop any net new applications. And it is an entirely Gen AI based solution. It helps organizations to collaborate with IT and business together, and they can type in their requests, their asks directly into Blueprint. And Blueprint is an AI agent that is specific around digital modernization, will give proposals around how to build new applications that are AI powered. And the IT people and the business stakeholders can look at it, can read it, can discuss it, can make changes to it, can work on it, and can come up with a design, which is the blueprint of what the future vision looks like before they start the construction of it. And there'll be a tremendous amount of discussion around that with regards to Pegasystems.